let's go back to college. All right. In Dallas. What was your life like there in Dallas? Were you like a regular college student? Did you have a lot of freedom to go around? What was your schedule like?
Yeah. So we had a pretty structured prayer schedule. So we had morning prayer 6:30, followed by mass, breakfast, and then everybody had different class schedules. We took class at the University of Dallas, which was just like right by the seminary. It was a great setup to have. So guys had different schedules. Like I said, I was taking classes with the older guys, just like straight philosophy courses, basically, with some theology, mostly philosophy. And so we go on campus to do that. We'd have lunch, and then we'd have evening prayer together and meditation time. And then throughout the week, you'd have spiritual direction and formation classes. And then Sundays, we had a lot of liturgies and things like that. So there's definitely some college, and we had some freedom. We would play in the intramural sports on the campus, which was cool. We played football and basketball and soccer and everything. We'd have seminary teams, softball, that kind of stuff. We could go on campus for certain events, but we obviously had like responsible hours, curfew times.
Did you have to get permission to go on campus all the time? Were there forms to fill out or anything like that? Or?
No, not during the days, you know.
Okay.
Like I said, if you wanted to be out past like 11 on a weekday, or I think it was, you had to get permission for that. But if you were just, getting your studies done, you probably weren't going to do that. And on Saturdays, you were pretty free to do stuff. So guys would hang out with students sometimes, or go see their families and that kind of thing.
What about college parties? How does that work?
Hopefully nobody was going to college parties. Hopefully that wasn't happening.
But there's no hard rule that you can't interact, period, or
no.
Okay.
In fact, I would say it was kind of healthy, I think, for guys to be around, young guys, young girls, to be around that. That's probably helpful for your discernment.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
There's some pretty girls on campus, so you kind of had to make sure you were doing what you need to be doing.
How does that work with the girls on campus?
You just have to make sure you're smart about it and you're careful. It's good to have friends, certainly. And then guys who, have good relationships and also, there were guys who left and dated girls, so that
who discerned out because
discerned out. Well, they used to send the guys, at University of Dallas where I took classes, there was a semester where everybody goes to Rome basically. And the seminarians used to do that Rome semester. But the story is like, so many guys apparently decided to leave that semester and got girlfriends that they decided to stop sending the seminarians to Rome and just keep them here. That was because there was no formation happening really when you're over there. So yeah, it was a really positive experience and a really good setup. I think with classes, they're challenging. Classes were tough, but they were good.
So in terms of interacting with girls during that point, do you tell them right away, "Oh, I'm a seminarian"? Do you wear a T-shirt that says seminarian?
We didn't have to wear our seminary shirts, but they were cool. And we had some really sweet drive fit ones that said HTS, Holy Trinity Seminary, on them. So we wore them most of the time. And honestly, we traveled in packs. Like you could tell the groups of seminarians going around because we all came from the seminary together.
Okay.
So it was pretty easy to spot. It wasn't something you were hiding from anybody.
So no guys walking up to you meet a girl, you're talking to a girl, and no guy goes, "She's a seminarian."
Hopefully, yeah. There was transparency from the beginning about the fact that it would be a platonic relationship. Yeah.
Was it awkward talking to girls on campus that you were a seminarian? Were they amazed? What was their reaction when you tell them that you were a seminarian?
I think most of them got pretty used to the fact that the seminary is here, so there's a lot of guys on campus.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was kind of part of what they were doing too. They recognized that. And you also would have guys who, started at the school and then ended up joining the seminary, just stay in school, but then would move to the seminary and entered formation. So
nice. You'd hang out with them, you'd talk to them, and then then some of them would join. That's pretty cool.
And you had guys who go the other direction too. So, I think it was a pretty healthy combo.
So when we spoke with Deacon Joseph White, he said he used the term that I'd never heard before, chalice chippers. Are there a lot of chalice chippers that you run into?
Yeah, that was something guys always said. It was like chalice chippers or cassock chasers or... I did not encounter a lot of girls who I thought were out to get a seminarian to marry. I just didn't see that.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty healthy, good interactions. And, I didn't necessarily see that, but there were times, guys would leave and they'd get married to people, and that's how God can work too. That's okay.
It's not meant for them.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of guys that discerned out?
So
among your group of friends?
Yeah. So in my class, again, the guys I were living with were the younger guys, but the guys who I entered with academically, There were 14 of us from different dioceses who entered that seminary. And by Christmas, only 7 of us were left, which is crazy. Attrition rate.
Is that the normal rate?
That was a little bit odd. Like, I think even when that happened, some of the vocation director was like, whoa, what just happened? Like, that was a little too quick. Again, these guys were older. I think they had a pretty good sense quickly. Like, this is not for me, so they would leave. And then I think by the end of the next semester, a couple more left. Of the guys I was living with on the hall, they were younger, so it took a little bit more time, some of them still left. But I've heard the stats are like 40%, I think, get ordained of guys who enter.
Okay.
Which over the course of 7-9 years, that's not bad.
No, not bad at all. So let's talk about finances in terms of you being in college there. Now, I understand that it's sort of like a loan if you discern out.
Yeah.
But if you stay in, all of that is paid for? Is that how that works?
Yes, if you go in through and become a priest, they're not going to ask you to pay back those loans. Like, you're obviously serving them with what you received. But you don't sign anything. But they do ask that if you leave and you're working other jobs and things like that, and like you're benefiting, to some extent from the education you received, that you would try to pay back at least the first 2 years.
What about your daily expenses? How does that work?
So you get like $150, $160 stipend each month.
Okay.
To kind of pay for that stuff. Obviously, if you've got, insurance for a car and that kind of thing, that doesn't go a super long way. A lot of us had family and stuff helping us out with that, which was a real gift. So I think it tends to work out for everybody. If you have certain needs, there's people who can definitely help with that. The Knights of Columbus often tend to support you with checks periodically. They're super generous. So that $150 is pretty great. Some dioceses don't really give you that much. So we're really blessed here.
Are there any priests that really struggle with finances during that period? Or seminarians?
I think for some guys, it's a challenge just to make sure they're living kind of within the means. You shouldn't need a lot of other things. If all the food is provided for, and obviously your lodging and everything. So hopefully if you budget everything well, you should be okay. But yeah, there's resources for guys who are struggling. So.
Okay, so it's not a difficult life being a seminarian in terms of financial.
Yeah, I don't think they want you to be like struggling financially because you can't have another job. They don't want you to have another job. So they don't want to set up an environment where like guys are, not able to buy, toothpaste. So they want to help.